What's up, folks? Yeah, sorry, I had to move the live back by 15 minutes. I started very late on my laundry tonight, but I'm still doing laundry, by the way. Okay. So we're obviously still talking about Fani Willis and Nathan Wade's reproductive organs. Okay, that's what we're talking about. We obviously never finished Nathan Wade's, what is this? Direct. I don't even know if it's direct or cross, but yeah, we did not get to finish his testimony. And Miss Grey Goose, who we did not get very far with her testimony. But I want to quickly switch over to Big Willis, okay? We want to listen to Funny Willis' father testify, and then eventually we're going to jump into the what is this? The Court of Appeals decision. Okay, so that's what we are doing. Let me share my screen. I'm gonna share my screen. All right, there we go. I'm gonna share my screen and then let us get into it. I don't know. I have like 2 hours tonight, maybe an hour and a half. Again, I'm not done with my laundry. I'm not done with my laundry. I started kind of late tonight, but yeah. Hopefully you guys had a great Friday. I'm coming with low energy tonight. Coming with low energy tonight. It was crazy. I had a crazy day. I had a lot to get done. I'm not working. I'm not officially working on Monday, but I am gonna get some hours in. All right, let's get into this. Let us get into this. Man, the one thing about this specific hearing, the audio is awful. The audio is awful. But whatever. What we have, and that's what we're gonna work with.
Ms. Cross, I think did she say it was her first choice? Did she not say who was her first choice?
I think that's. I don't believe that the governor's name was mentioned.
I mean, as far as Fani's disqualification, it's mixed reactions, right? Because you guys know, Reddit is my Reddit is my main source of social media. I'm there sometimes. I don't even visit the site every day, but I'm on the Lawyer Talk subreddit, and even there, folks, it's kind of mixed. It's mixed. It's mixed. Some folks believe her removal or her disqualification is the right move, and other folks are like me, where they just do not. We just cannot exactly understand what Fani Willis was thinking. Yeah, it didn't make sense. The actions do not make sense. And I'm not talking about her mixing her genitals with, Nathan Wade. They're grown, they can do that. Again, my problem is her hiring Nathan, paying Nathan, giving top and all and everything else, and thinking that she could keep that under wraps, or that the defense attorneys would not come after her, right? Because as much as she has the ability to appeal, it's probably not going to go anywhere. Just depend. I mean, looking at the what is this? The Georgia Supreme Court's makeup, obviously the Court of Appeals makeup. I don't know where she thinks she's going to go with this appeal, but I don't know. She definitely was not thinking with her head.
There are some facts and circumstances surrounding this.
Let's get into this testimony, though. They're just going back and forth. Is he here? Is he on the stand? I should have got. All right, hold on. Let's do that. Let us do this. Oh, okay. So here, I believe this is the. Isn't that? Let's just get into it. My throat is a little scratchy. Excuse me. We had, random story, but we had our office event. It's not really a party because it's just for women. But we had our office, a holiday lunch, and one of the paralegals, she was talking about, she sent out an email talking about, oh, she possibly has COVID. I'm like, ma'am, why did you bother coming out here? So I don't know, my voice is a little scratchy, so hopefully it's not COVID. All right, come on. I want to move to Fani's father.
Roy Eugene Barnes. Royeugene.
We'll give him 5
Barnes,
minutes.
Barnes.
Say, good morning, Mr.
Morning.
Barnes. Can you tell the court a little bit about your background as it relates to your service in public service?
I was first elected to the state senate in 1974 from Cobb County.
Yeah, I think
and
this is the former governor. I could be wrong. I'm not going to look that up. But if I remember correctly, right, he declined. If I'm not mistaken, he declined to serve as special counsel in this case. So let's just fast forward a little bit. I want to see what's going on. You guys know I'm nosy. I need to see. I need to see the action. I'm easily distracted. I just need to know what's
I
going
believe
on.
lawyers should be well paid, Mr. Saban.
All right. So, sir, is that something?
I'll have to look. It didn't come up right.
Okay. All right. We'll ask this witness to step down, subject to recall, and
All right.
that might be something the state can present with stipulation as well. All right. Thank you, sir.
All right, come on.
Do we have an update on Mr. Bradley?
Floor.
All right. We're going to have to get back into Bradley because when we started this series before the Court of Appeal decision, or in anticipation of the decision, I think we skipped over Bradley. We focused on the former friend, her good friend, former good friend, Robin, forgot her last name, Yeager or something along those lines. And we listened to a bit of Fani. We listened to a bit of Nathan Wade. And now the focus here is really Big Willis. Okay.
Lawyer should be here. He's probably outside on stage.
Let's see.
The last estimation I heard was about 11:30.
Okay. If that's still the case, then Ms. Cross, did you have another witness available?
But
I wanna see what is
John
this?
Floyd, not the-
Exchange here.
It is not. The state would have an objection to this witness not appearing in person.
Understood. All right, Mr. Ward, I think we're going to need continual updates from you, and also some kind of expectation of what this afternoon is going to look like.
All right, there
I
we
was
go.
never informed of a medical appointment, and I think the
There we go. Let's
doctor,
go
I
to
just,
Big Willis.
He's been consulting with the doctor.
And I'll put the link up here
and after he
if
gets those results, he was supposed to have another
anybody
meeting
has
with him today as
questions.
well. But potentially that meeting could
Oh,
occur.
and a big shout out to Brooklyn and the replay crew. I know it's Friday, so Brooklyn cannot be here.
Later.
After they're able to figure out the purpose of the actual.
Why is it so low?
If you
Use the
can
mic.
get any kind of an update on how much time they think that those results are going to take. If it's more than an hour or two, I think we would want to start bringing him here. And you can have that follow-up consultation later.
Okay.
All right. Thank you, sir. At this point, I think we've got something else that can occupy our time, and I think we need to move forward with that.
Yeah.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely.
And I didn't learn about the equipment.
Right. Okay. Understood. Ms. Cross.
Mr. Abate will,
Mr. John Floyd.
Mr. Floyd, if you could have a seat, sir.
All right. Big Willie.
can I approach the witness quickly?
Thank you.
Okay. Get him some great value water. There's nothing wrong with great value, okay? Big shout out to Walmart.
I do. Please state the spelling full name for the court. My name is John Floyd III.
All right.
Say, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Can you tell the court, are you currently retired?
Yes, I am.
And prior to being retired, can you tell the court a little bit about, did you work in the
And off the bat, from my recollection, I found Mr. Floyd to be, or Big Willis, to be quite credible. Let's see if I maintain the same
legal
opinion, right?
career? Were you a
I
lawyer?
was an attorney. I practiced law. I've probably tried 1,000 cases. About 50% of my practice was criminal law.
Okay.
25% of it was family law, and the rest was whatever walked through the front door could pay for it.
Okay.
Right.
And
Can we wait 1 second? Governor's come back. He might
I
have.
do.
What?
My calendar shows it was October 26, 2021.
All right. And would defense counsel accept it as a stipulation, or is there any follow-up?
I don't know. Their camera, not their cameras, their microphones.
Questioning needed on that? Mr.
No.
Orange is still considered under oath on this
Very
point.
shaky.
All right. So look for a show of hands or for someone to speak now on Zoom, and hearing none. Thank you, sir. You're excused.
All right.
and sir, can you tell the court, are
You
you
need to take a closer look at, the guilty pleas that were entered into in this case. Again, problems with guilty pleas.
from Atlanta?
No, I grew up in South Central Los Angeles.
Uh-huh.
I spent most of my
LA.
legal career, I would say, in Washington, D.C. was kind of the circle, but I've tried cases
All
all
right.
over the country, and I tried the longest. I was the first lawyer to try an international criminal court. I was with the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda. I was in trial there for 4.5 years in Arusha, Tanzania, and Hague in the Netherlands.
Okay. When you weren't there, sounds like the kind of center of gravity was Washington, D.C.
Correct, but I've tried cases in West Virginia, Maryland, Florida, California.
All over.
Yes.
And do you, sir, can you tell the court, do you have any children?
I have one daughter, Fani Willis.
All right.
And I want to direct your attention back to 2019, okay?
Yes.
Back in 2019, can you tell the court, did you move here to Atlanta?
I was living in Johannesburg, South Africa. And unfortunately, for some reasons, I could not get an extended visa. When I retired from the practice of law in 2018, I moved to South Africa, and I had to leave South Africa, and I did then come to Atlanta.
Okay, and do you, sir, remember about the time period in 2019 when you moved in with your daughter here in Atlanta?
It would have been the spring or summer of 2019.
And after you moved here, did you get a driver's license to kind of confirm your residency in Atlanta?
Well, my driver's license for the District of Columbia was going to expire.
Okay, I hope he is actually getting somewhere with, this line of questioning about a driver's license and residency. These questions are kind of, they're irrelevant. He needs to get to the point. He has established that this is Fani Willis' father. Okay, if he wants to know where Mr. Floyd resided, then get to it. But all these questions
On my birthday, which is in October. And yes, I did get a license here in the state of Georgia.
What does the
Got that
license
first
have
one.
to? I really hope, because I don't remember this part. I hope this line of questioning that has to do with residency and a driver's license is actually going to lead somewhere.
But if you will just take a look at what's been marked as stages.
Okay, Your Honor, would you, if you don't mind, my eyes are very bad, which is one of the reasons I retired. And so I need a magnifying glass. So I'll be
Okay.
constantly, thank you.
How old is Mr. Floyd? Because I'm thinking I have astigmatism. I'd like to practice at least until I don't know, 75. He has
Yes,
bifocals
I
on.
see it was issued on 9/28/2019.
Okay.
Mm.
So before we get there, do you recognize State's Exhibit 2?
Yes, just my driver's license.
And is State's Exhibit 2 a fair and accurate copy of your physical driver's license?
Is there a dispute about his residency? I still don't understand this line of questioning.
Absolutely.
This time, Your Honor, the State would tender what's been marked as State's Exhibit 2 into evidence.
Seeing no other objections, it's submitted. State's Exhibit 2 is
I'm
submitted for the
going
record.
to be very
Now,
disappointed. I'm going to be very disappointed if this line of questioning does not actually tie into something else.
And for the record, Your Honor, the State is going to supplement State's Exhibit 2 with a redacted copy of the license. The
Okay.
current copy is not redacted with the address and things of that.
All right, and do we need to mark that differently in any way?
I will mark it as State's Exhibit 2A.
Perfect.
Now, you talked about when your driver's license was issued. Can you tell the court when was that driver's license here, your Georgia driver's license issued?
It was on
You guys know I'm really impatient. I'm impatient. I just think this is, I don't know, it seems irrelevant to me. I hope they prove me wrong.
9/28/2019.
Okay, so September 28th, 2019. Now, when you moved into District Attorney Willis's home, who lived there?
Mm. I don't remember Big Willis testifying to living with Fani unless I missed it. But whether I missed it or not, he should have gone. I mean, really, if he did not, if Big Floyd or Big Willis did not testify to living in Fani's home in 2018 or 2019 or whatever, then there's a lack of foundation. But I still think his questions regarding the driver's license are irrelevant or were irrelevant. He should have just asked, but I don't know.
Well,
He should have just asked the question he just asked now. I mean, provided that he actually laid proper foundation.
I lived there, and from time to time, my grandchildren would come.
Okay, and did your grandchildren, were they at school coming and going?
Exactly. I think they were in school in various jurisdictions.
And during the time, how long did you live at or with Miss Willis and at her home here in Fulton County?
She was forced to move after she was elected. I don't know if you want me to go through the whole thing, but that, Your Honor, if Your Honor will indulge me. After she was sworn in on January 1 of 2021. And on or about the 3rd of February, at probably 5:30 a.m. in the morning, there were people outside her house cursing and yelling and calling her the B word and the N word.
Dang, I don't know. Fulton County is not a real place.
And it was bizarre. Okay,
Sorry. Pause, sir. Mr. Urbani. Here's the objection to you.
I would say it's effect on listener. He was present while all of these things were occurring. But I can.
No, that's. And he's saying he was personally present to hear these things?
Yes.
Okay, overruled.
Okay, and fortunately, the neighbors called the police and disbanded the group. And
Okay.
it was just, I hadn't seen anything exactly like it before.
Okay. And after that happened, can you tell the court?
I know. The line. Let me give it some more thought. But the questions are not. with the exception of where Big Willis lived at the time, that's relevant. As far as her moving, I guess it's relevant, but he really did not answer the question because that was unresponsive. But hopefully I don't know. Let me give him a little more time.
Did Miss Willis have to move from her home?
Yes, she was forced to leave.
And can you tell the court, after she was forced to leave, shortly after she was sworn in, did you remain at her home in Fulton County?
Yes, I stayed there really until 2022, I guess.
And from what you described, did you fear for her safety?
Absolutely. I mean, not only did I do that, I mean, the South Fulton police, they brought somebody, a man with a dog, because there have been so many death threats. And they said they were going to blow up the house. They were going to kill her. They were going to kill me. They were going to kill my grandchildren. I mean, on and on and on. It just, it became, and I was concerned for her safety.
All right.
After those concerns came to your attention, and after what you heard and saw that day, you remained at the house?
Yes.
And can you tell the court, with what you just described, why
I don't know. Let me let this play out.
did you remain living at the district attorney's home here in Fulton County?
Mr. Bell?
What's the objection?
Based on a lot of the questions that were asked yesterday of Ms. Willis as to about the security threat and the fact
Right.
that it was implied.
I remember part of that.
Not necessarily real in the sense that Mr. Floyd remained in the home. There were many questions about the fact that he remained and her children could still come.
I remember that line of questioning.
The testimony that was elicited from defense counsels yesterday.
Overruled.
Well, these South Fulton police, first they put a car in front of the house that was there permanently.
Okay.
A police car. That was thing one. Thing two, they brought a person.
I thought Fani had a security detail, or is that something she got after the fact?
With a dog, sometimes more than once a day, twice a day, and they would circle the house to look for bombs.
Okay, so during this period, though, who was threatening Fani? Because that's I believe that's the piece that I'm missing.
knew that was a house that my daughter had worked for. It was a brand new house. She's the only one who had ever lived there. It's a 4-bedroom, brand new house. And
New construction.
somebody needed to protect the house. And I stayed there to basically take care of the house, to take care of the yard, to take care of that. Also, somebody sprayed, again, the B word and the N word on the house. And I don't think my daughter even knew that. I cleaned it off and called the police, and South Fulton police. They have, I'm sure, all the records of all the things that happened. And all of the neighbors, I notified all the neighbors to look out and to watch out. And it was so crazy. I mean, it was just so crazy. We'd have people would show up and park car. There was a guy parked for probably 8 hours out in front of the house, you know.
So here's the thing. Again, my recollection of listening to Mr. Floyd's testimony, I was under the impression that it was credible. But now that I am reassessing this, right, this somehow has to tie into the relationship between Nathan or the mixing of the genitals, okay, between Fani Willis and Nathan Wade, because if it doesn't, then it kind of did not really help Fani. So let me, yeah. And now that I'm thinking about this from a different perspective, this has to lead somewhere, because if Mr. Floyd's testimony is not really painting a clear picture or showing that the relationship, I don't even know what to call it, the mixing of, reproductive organs. Okay. So yeah, that is what the prosecution should have been trying to elicit here. But let's get back in
You
here.
know, it was just, and we called the police and, you know,
Now, at the time that you lived there with Miss Willis, and because even when you remained, so during the time period of 2019 to the end of 2020,
Mhm.
are you aware if Miss Willis was dating someone?
yeah, she did. She had a boyfriend when I first got there.
And did you meet her boyfriend?
Yeah, I met him often.
Okay, and did you know him by any specific nickname?
Yeah, Deuce.
Okay, and
Oh, okay. I think this is what Jerome this is what Jerome was talking about. Okay, okay.
can you tell the court?
Good. Abate took a little longer to get there, or maybe I'm just really, really impatient, right? But we are finally getting somewhere.
While you were living there, how often would you see him?
Sometimes every day, sometimes, every other day. He,
And the fact that Fani was in a relationship with another man, that still does not change the facts. It does not change the fact that she hired Nathan Wade, and they mixed genitals and reproductive organs, and then she went on to hire this man in this case. Okay. So it still does not change the underlying facts in this case.
was a disc jockey or something, and he had all this paraphernalia that I'd have to move out. There was a thing with the keyboard. I mean, things that played music and so forth. So
Now, when you moved in 2019, and then throughout the years in year 2020, 2021, had you ever met someone named Nathan Wade?
I did not meet Nathan Wade until 2023,
Okay.
about a year ago, when a reporter by the name of Issakoff interviewed me. That was the first time I met him.
You said that was in 2023?
2023, right?
All right, come on.
And I know you said you hadn't met him until 2023, but when you were living at Miss Willis's house in Fulton County, did you ever meet Mr. Wade in the year 2019?
Absolutely not.
Okay, so this goes in line, and now my memory is coming back to me. So this goes in line with Fani's testimony that Nathan Wade never paid her a visit at her residence in I don't know, South Fulton County, or wherever it is that she owns a residence. Again, that still does not blur the picture. Still does not change the fact that she went on to mix genitals, reproductive organs with this man, and then that's what I'm trying to figure out. Not that it really makes that much of a difference whether the mixing occurred before the hiring or the hiring and then the mixing.
How about in the year 2020?
Absolutely not.
Did you ever see Mr. Wade at Miss Willis's Fulton County house in the year 2021?
Never.
And is it your testimony that the only time or the first time that you met Mr. Wade was in 2023?
Let me say something. Mr. Wade said that he remembers seeing me, and I do remember some banter. I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity, and there's kind of this thing that goes on between fraternities. And Mr. Wade is a member of Alpha Phi Alpha, and I do remember there was some kind of banter when my daughter was sworn in to be district attorney between me and a couple of guys, and he said he remembers me. I don't remember him.
And prior to that experience that you're talking about, as well as, I guess, your official meeting in 2023, had you ever even heard his name?
No, never.
I don't think I have any further questions, Your Honor.
Ms. Merchant.
Yes, thank you.
Fine. How are you, Counsel?
Good, thank you. Just got a couple questions. On Monday, we heard you were in California. Do you have a place in California?
That is, I don't know. Let me leave that woman alone.
People always ask me about where do I live. I guess I live right here, sitting in this seat right now. But yes, the answer is I have a place in Los Angeles.
Okay, you do.
Good question.
All right. So do you share time or split time
No.
between Los Angeles and Georgia?
Actually, I'm working on a documentary film, and I'm supposed to be being filmed, not for this trial, but I'm supposed to be being filmed right now. It was planned, and we had to stop it because they asked me to come here. But the answer is I'm working on a documentary, and I'll be in California until I finish the documentary if we don't have another actor strike and we don't have another writer strike.
So
McCuffey is out there scratching his head. He's like, I don't know where this is going, but I'll let it go on anyway.
own property in California?
No, I don't. I live with a friend of mine.
Live with a friend of yours. Okay.
Yeah.
And when did you first move? Well, let me qualify with the dates.
Oh my
Did you-
goodness. This is supposed to be cross-examination. So Merchant, I mean, we've established she does not know how to direct. Now we're establishing she doesn't know how to cross. I mean, she did good on the motion, so we're going to give her that. And when we were listening to I think it was Fani's testimony, it was very clear that the whole thing was a fishing expedition in the sense that she really did not have underlying facts to, elicit the testimony that she wanted to elicit. But I get really, really frustrated when people cannot properly cross, or when attorneys cannot properly cross and when they cannot direct. I'm like, what have you been doing all this time?
you spend any time in 2019 in California?
No, and the reason I didn't is that when I first came here, the answer is no, I did not. What happened was COVID. Once COVID hit, I was just paralyzed. I couldn't go any place. I couldn't go anything. I mean, I'm a theater buff. I used to go to theater at least once a week. But when COVID hit, I just couldn't. I couldn't go to the dentist, which I need to do. Or, it was just a thing. So I was just stuck. I was just stuck there.
I may be wrong, but I believe COVID hit in 2020. So I was asking about 2019. In 2019, did you spend any time in California?
Before COVID was even here in the United States, remember I lived in South Africa.
You guys know I always have random stories. But before, I'll save the story for later. I'll save it for later.
And I've traveled the world. I knew COVID was coming before.
I'm going to say it anyways. So, I cannot help myself. I recall being with my sister, 2019, late 2019, early 2020. So it's like December going into January. We were somewhere, tourist attraction. Okay. And there were some folks that came off a tourist bus and they had masks on. And I'm like, what on earth is this? In any event, sure enough, we ended up in a lockdown like 3 months or 2 months down the line.
I knew COVID was around before. They may have announced it in 20.
Right.
But in fact, I knew about it and I knew what was happening in 19.
Okay, so let's walk through 2019 then. You said you moved here in September. So
no, I didn't say that. I moved here probably prior to September. In September is when I got the driver's license.
Right.
I probably moved in the springtime.
We have an attorney on the witness stand. Fantastic. Correct her.
I'm sorry, you did. You said spring, summer. I see that in my notes. So spring, summer 2019 is when you moved here. So up until spring, summer 2019,
this baby
where
girl.
did you live?
I lived in Johannesburg.
Right.
Well,
I was literally about to say that. Like what? Why aren't you paying attention?
I lived in Washington, D.C., 2018. I had planned to retire for the rest of my life.
And here's the thing. I had some really good coaching. When I initially started, I mean, for, my co-consuls, you guys know that I started out as a prosecutor. And I remember very clearly, I had really good training. The very first trial that I had, one of my colleagues that was in charge of training me, he basically, this is good advice for folks that actually plan on going into practice, or people that already practice but don't know how to cross-examine. When you're writing, because Ashley Merchant said she had notes, you don't paraphrase what the witness is saying on the stand, because when you do that, you end up with problems like this. If you're making notes, you write down the question exactly as the opposing counsel has asked it, and you write down the answer exactly as the witness answers. That's how to avoid this mess that they have going on over here
in South Africa.
I think I should actually, I should probably get into university and like teach them trial practice or something, because I don't know where, or maybe they didn't have trial practice. I don't know.
I had worked for Nelson Mandela and the Free Mandela and get that, and someone I'd gone to law school, he had located there after Mandela was freed from prison and became president. I was going to live there for the rest of my life, but unfortunately, because of political
Big shout out to Nelson, okay?
reasons, I could not stay in South Africa, and I was forced, in a sense, to come back to the United States.
Okay, so let's just focus in on the period from, let's just start with October 2019. Okay, we'll call that the relevant period. October 2019.
Okay, Juan, I have a question. I'm going to put this link up here, Juan, and if you feel comfortable, come up here and explain your statement. So Juan says, Fani needs to be locked up for a long time. Her motive was pure hatred. You know it as well as I do. No, I no, I did not. No. I think this is a good time to bring this up. Okay, that's a good time to bring that up. So let's see. What's up, real thing? How you doing? I hope you had a good Friday. Mine was busy, but I had a good time with my colleagues during our holiday lunch. So yeah. And I mean, if you want to come up here and chit chat, feel free to do so, okay?
Until the end of 2019. Were you in Georgia every single day of that year?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So now let's move to 2020. Okay. And every single day, before I move on, every single day in 2019, you slept at your daughter's house, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. So let's start in 2020. All right. So 2020, the entire year, did you travel anywhere?
No.
You didn't travel at all that year?
No.
So,
and I didn't go to the movies, which upset me also.
So that entire year, 2020, you remained here in Georgia?
Right.
In 2021, did you do any traveling?
No.
So when did you move back, or when did you start this documentary?
Exactly. Don't be mincing words.
I'm in Los Angeles.
What I had been doing to occupy time was I was writing my own memoir.
All right.
As I delved into my family background, I discovered something, and that's what got me to working on the
I'm
documentary.
actually interested. I'd like to see if this documentary is finalized, and I'd absolutely love to read his memoir.
So I want you to understand what was going on in my life. I pitched I have a movie script called Bad Blood. I have a movie script we're trying to sell.
Okay.
So I tried to sell that, and I just happened to mention something that happened during the civil rights movement.
Okay.
SNCC, it's called the SNCC 5. The legendary Peter Fitzsimmons was interested, and so with Peter Fitzsimmons and Leah Smith, we're now doing the documentary. So
I don't want to interrupt you, but what I was asking was when you moved to Los Angeles, not what you moved there for.
Well, you keep saying moved.
Yeah. Right.
I haven't moved to Los Angeles.
Right.
I spent more time in California, in Oakland, if you really want to just be, because Peter is basically San Francisco based. So we're working on the documentary.
Okay.
I was in Los Angeles because I was going to the Pan-African Film Festival. And that's why we were there. And the way Hollywood works is, when you make connections, and film festivals are a place to try to sell ideas and
Mhm.
meet people and organize things.
You still own property in Washington DC, correct?
No, I don't.
You don't own property at 1467 Roxana Road Northwest?
That's where I used to live.
That's where you,
That's what I'm saying. Ashley Merchant came into cross-examination without actually knowing her knowing her facts. She had no information. And as far as her direct and her cross, I still maintain that it was a fishing expedition because this is not how you cross-examine. And then Real Thing says, I like Fani's father. He's an interesting person. I agree. I need to find that memoir. And literally, I just looked up what is this? I just looked up Pan African Film Festival. I did not know that was a thing. But again, today I found out that they have I received one of these magazines. I don't always read the magazines. I think it's called Trial. I think it's a trial lawyers. Did I bring it? I think I forgot it at the office. Anyways, so one of these trial lawyer magazines, and what I browsed through it quickly when I was at work today. Actually, I picked it up maybe 2 or 3 times. But I found out that they have a festival for attorneys to meet doctors. This is usually, when it comes to personal injury and things of that nature. I thought that was pretty interesting. So yeah, I'm finding out a lot today.
where you used to live. Did you
Right.
own that property?
Yes,
And you owned that property when you moved here in 2019,
yes.
and you owned it in 2020, correct?
Well, you talk about a very complicated issue. I left the property. There was a dispute between me and I had gotten a reverse mortgage company.
Mhm.
And there was a dispute between me and and I just, I walked away from it.
Okay. You walked away from it with almost $300,000
Yeah, what is the relevance of that?
Yeah.
where he lived and registered to vote. That's what they brought in. So that's,
Why is the money he got from the sale relevant at all?
it's the only proof I have of that he owned that address. So I can move on now. Okay. When did you sell that property?
I didn't. The reverse mortgage company took it.
Yeah, she definitely does not. She does not pay attention at all. At
Okay.
all.
Um,
Not that those are not good. I'll just say let me leave her alone.
so in 2019, when you got your driver's license here,
Yes.
the next day you registered to vote, correct?
I think it may have been the same day, but maybe it was the next day. I don't remember.
But you didn't own property here in Georgia that day?
No, I was living with my daughter.
Mhm. Ask your
You
question.
said that you met Mr. Wade, that you remember you met in 2023, right? That was the first time you
Correct.
remember? Okay. And I wasn't really clear. You said something about meeting him. Was it with Mr. Isikoff, or did Mr. Isikoff tell you?
No, I was being interviewed by
Right.
Mr. Isikoff.
Okay.
And he walked in, and I met him. That was the first time. He walked into the office and
Where were you being interviewed?
at the district attorney's office.
And Mr. Wade walked into that interview?
Yes.
And so Ms. Willis had not told you about Mr. Wade prior to that.
Absolutely not.
So she didn't tell you anything about their relationship before you met him that day.
No.
But Mr. Wade remembers meeting you in 2020.
He said that at my daughter's swearing in.
Extra
I
birthday,
do
but it's
remember
already
that
in.
we having some banner about fraternities, but other than that,
Oh, at your daughter swearing in. Okay.
right.
Yeah, like madam, how are you not paying attention? You are cross-examining right now. How are you the one that's not paying attention?
That's all I have. Just one moment.
We cross, you guys know I like a good cross-examination. That was a weak cross. And Mr. Floyd absolutely owned what's her name? Miss Merchant.
Nothing else. Thank you.
Yeah.
Morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you, counsel?
I'm fine. I'll try to ask you some specific
He's such a respectful gentleman. Okay.
questions if we could, okay?
And I'll give specific answers if I can.
Perfect.
Okay.
The driver's license address, I'm not going to publish. That is State's Exhibit number 2. But is the address on that driver's license the home that you're referring to as your daughter's in South Fulton?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Mhm.
It was unclear to me, maybe no one else.
Just ask the question. Ask the question. Stop the extra commentary. Ask the question. It's cross.
It's unclear to me. When did you stop living at what I would call your daughter's home in South Fulton?
Things got so bad and threats got so many, even against me, that the house became basically uninhabitable. I got tired of sleeping in one room one day and one that. I would say December of 2022, something
Okay.
like that.
December of 2022.
Right. That's about right. Yeah.
Now, let me change and go back for another date. You had indicated, and I didn't hear it. When was your daughter, Miss Willis, when was she sworn in as district attorney?
On January 1, 2021.
Okay. And did you indicate that there was an incident, and I know you've described it, was that incident on February the 3rd, 2021?
That's my best recollection.
Okay. So my question then is, after February 3rd of 2021, how much longer did Miss Willis stay at the house before she moved somewhere else?
Very short period of time. And
I guess shout out to all the Trump supporters that are in here. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate it.
I cannot be precise, but I would bet all the money I ever made, it wasn't more than a month and a half, if that long.
No, I really appreciate it because you could have been anywhere and everywhere on YouTube, but you chose to come here. So yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about, best of your recollection, end of February into the beginning of March, give or take, of 2021, when Miss Willis would have moved to a different location.
Exactly.
Okay. And did Miss Willis return to the house, that is, the house that you were in, at any point in time that you can remember?
From time to time, she and her security might show up for her to pick something up or take something or something,
Okay.
but she always would come with her security.
Okay. My question was poorly worded. I apologize. Did she come back permanently to her house?
Oh, absolutely not.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
So as far as you're aware, that once Miss Willis left the house, her house, South Fulton House, so the record's clear, in either late February or into March of 2021, best of your recollection, she's not returned to that home to live.
No, it became uninhabitable. It just,
That's okay.
I would have to walk around that house looking out of every window.
Mhm.
I made a habit of having to walk around the whole house. I got lights so that if somebody would come at night in the back,
Yeah.
so that those kinds of reflecting lights, I had those put up.
I don't mean to again finish
yeah,
off.
okay.
All I was interested in is whether she had ever returned.
No, the answer is no.
Okay. Now, when Miss Willis, when your daughter left the home, time
Okay.
period, end of February, beginning of March, give or take 2021, do you know where she moved to?
No, and I didn't want to know. I intentionally did not want to know
Okay.
because I was not, if somebody stuck a gun to my head and I could tell them, I
Right.
wasn't going to tell them anyway.
Man, big shout out to Mr. Floyd. Okay. Big shout out to Mr. Floyd.
I'd have made up something, but I didn't want to know.
Okay, so would it be fair to say that if you didn't want to know, you never visited her at the place that she moved to?
Oh, I never did.
Never did.
Never did.
Okay. Do you know how long she stayed at the first place that she went to after she left her house before she moved to a second place?
What I know, and this is hearsay, counsel.
Yeah. We have an attorney on the stand. Okay. We have a real attorney on the stand.
My daughter has had to move something like 4 times.
But do you know any potential?
No, I don't know any place. I was taken one time for Christmas Day.
Yeah.
I've only seen my daughter, and this is very hard for me to say,
Right.
but during the period my daughter left, I've only seen my daughter 13 times because I can't, and we've never seen each other more than maybe 3 hours because of, you know, the nightmare threats against her and me.
And I understand that, and from the perspective of being a father myself, I understand what that means. So I'm going to move away from that. I was just trying to get an idea of date-wise. Okay. So let me try to get one more date. In 2023, when you were being interviewed by one of the gentlemen that wrote the book at the DA's office, and Mr. Wade.
So a real thing says, I predict you'll be teaching law seminars and trial advocacy courses, especially in the Fulton County area in the next 18 months. That is very funny. That is very, very funny. And then real thing says, I'm basing this prediction on the previous things you said. I know, I think I know you're talking about are you talking about the email real thing, or is it something else?
Wade came in. Can
That's
you give us,
funny.
other than 2023, what the date would be?
I'm sorry, I can't counsel.
How about spring, summer? Any idea?
I would guess spring or summer, but I can't. I don't. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And you've already indicated, at least to your recollection, that was the first time that you'd met Mr. Wade.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay, I'm not arguing with you about that. I want to go to Miss Willis's boyfriend that you referenced.
Okay.
Okay, you met Miss Willis's boyfriend, as you've characterized it.
I know we need Jerome in here because he's the one that has been talking about dues for quite some time.
Came here in 2019.
Correct.
And you met him on one occasion, several occasions?
Oh, no, I saw him often.
Mhm.
Oh, so you mean there was no secret that she was dating this man?
Not from me.
Not from you.
And not, he was a disc jockey of some kind. I think he had a government job during the day. I don't know what it was, but apparently he would do weddings and so forth and so on. He was a disc jockey, play music.
Yeah.
So he had all his stuff was always in the way, and I was always having to try to push it aside. Anyway.
But Miss Willis, your daughter didn't keep him from you, correct?
No.
I mean, there was no doubt.
We lived my daughter and I lived in the same house. I mean, he came and went,
Right. Now, when did you learn that your daughter had a romantic, personal relationship with Mr. Wade?
Well, about 7 weeks ago, when as a matter of fact, I just found out when other folks found out.
Right.
But as your daughter, as I understand it, never told you one time in the year of 2022 that she was dating Mr. Wade, correct?
That's correct.
Mhm.
And until recently, you didn't know from anyone, including your daughter, that she dated Mr. Wade, correct?
That's correct.
That is, whatever the relationship is between father and daughter, she kept that a secret from you, correct?
Correct.
That's all I need to know.
Yeah. I mean, that was really good cross, but it did not elicit information that was not relayed during direct. But that was I'm gonna give that to I don't know who was crossing, but that was the very end, the tail end of that cross examination was good. Let me see. Real Thing says, I believe you mentioned on a live stream you're considering going private or something like. Yeah, that is true. That is correct. That is true. That is true. That is true.
Mr. Stockton.
Not even considering. It's in the works. It's in the works. It's in the works.
No.
All right. So while we're here, you guys know it's Friday, so I'm doing my laundry. I'm quickly gonna switch over to Fani Willis. I'm going to switch over to Fani Willis while I step away. And then when I return, we are going to continue with Mr. Floyd. One moment. All right, let's get into Fani Willis.
Wade and some of these hearsay statements that he was asked about in relation to what Ms. Willis may or may not have said in relation to an author. So it's not relevant to the testimony that's
Talked about, you gave a lot of interviews to some authors of a book called Fani Willis, right?
I would not characterize it as a lot. I probably have spoken to them
you know,
2 or 3 times.
My question is relevant as to.
I think it's already come up. Finances are discussing the book. I'll overrule that.
Thank you.
Ms. Wilson, you can continue your answer.
Well, it came up with Mr. Wade as it relates to hearsay statements that he was asked about in relation to what Ms. Willis may or may not have said in relation to an author. So it's not relevant to the testimony that's occurring at this time.
I think Ms. Merchant has said that inside the book, she also makes a statement as to her own finances, and that's at issue.
So you gave interviews to the authors of this book, correct?
Once or twice.
Okay. And,
3 times, just to be comprehensive. I don't know if it was 3 times, 2 or 3 times, I think.
you were quoted in the book, and I will give you a chance to say if this is a misquote. You were quoted, when they asked you about if you wanted to run for office for DA, you were quoted, "I really don't want to be financially effed up again." Do you remember saying that?
So what that refers to, so that.
My question first is if you remember saying that.
I remember saying something similar to that, but I would like to be able to explain what that's in
fine.
reference to. That's not in reference to anything else. It was a huge sacrifice to be district attorney in Fulton County, huge. I was doing just fine. I had a municipal court judgeship that was paying me $100-something thousand a year, and like you got to show up twice a week. Easiest thing I've ever done in life. I also had private clients that were paying me to represent them. So I was able to have a law practice and that. Raising 2 daughters by myself, there were times in life where things were hard. And so I was telling people, I don't really run for DA. I don't want to run for DA. I'm in a good position right now. I got this easy job that I enjoy, being the chief judge of the city of South Fulton. I'm making money at the law firm, and I'm not sure that I want to make this sacrifice. And why does it always have to be me? Eventually, I prayed. I think that I was the appropriate person. I think that I did that. So when you're referring to that, what I'm saying is, why should I make a sacrifice again? And what I was not talking about is being district attorney. Once you get elected district attorney, you're in a fine financial position. I make over $200,000 a year. What I was talking about is I ran for judge. When I ran for judge, I took $50,000 of my personal money out of my retirement. And that money ended up being lost. And I know when you bet on yourself, you're going to have to bet money on yourself. And so what I was talking about was not wanting to go through the personal financial expense of running for office. By no means did I think that I was going to be financially in a bad position once I won. Let's talk about what I was up against, because it's important to understand that comment. I had a district attorney who had been here for 24 years. People, no, it's very relevant as to what my mindset was about this. So I'm trying to answer your question. So what I was saying is
Taylor, still it's a finance.
right, but it is about my finances. If I didn't, nobody put me in this seat. So I had already run for office once. I had spent $50,000 of my own money running, and it was nothing. And so when I'm talking to those offers, I'm talking about the contemplation of the sacrifice of the run, not the sacrifice of once you become DA. The odds were against me. I was likely going to lose the election based on who I was running against. So that needs to be in the appropriate context.
Isn't it true that the authors also wrote, and you can dispute this if you'd like, that you were broke after that race?
The 2018 race.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a hard race. I wasn't broke like I didn't have any. So broke is relative to depending where you are, but that hurt to lose that $50,000. So I'm sure my mental mindset was like, I just gave $50,000 away.
Right. So they characterized it from their conversations with you that you were broke, you had poured your own money into the campaign, and you weren't able to pay your own bills because of your clients couldn't pay their bills to you, and you had a paltry array of family and asset forfeiture cases. It says you were trying to make it month to month. Is that an accurate depiction of your financial situation at that point?
I would want to read that, but I don't remember clients not being able to pay their bills. Or
May I approach this?
you can't.
You may.
Page 30.
I have not read this book.
So
So like this back here, her ex-husband Fred had run into a financial, I have no information
I
about
didn't
that.
ask about that. I just asked about if what they represent from their interviews with you, that you were broke and that you had clients that weren't able to pay their bills.
Can you show me where that is? Because this is where you put the tab, so that's where I read.
Broke, couldn't pay their bills.
Yeah, I'm sure I characterized myself as broke as leaving that $50,000. I don't know that I had her nascent law practice at Paltry Rep.
Well, you just.
I didn't have-
Ms. Merchant.
I thought I had a law practice. So this is not correct. I'm
Okay.
sure it's just, I didn't have any asset forfeiture cases. So I had one case where they had took one of my clients' money at the airport. I don't know if that's what they're I don't know. Paltry rate. I did have family law cases. I guess that's what they're talking about. And clients who couldn't pay their bills ain't clients. So no.
So my question was just if this was a fair and accurate representation where it says you were trying to make it month to month at that point.
No, I don't think that is actually a fair and accurate representation, but I am certain that after the 2018 election, I'm still not really happy about having given up that 50,000.
You know when you paid your tax lien?
I don't.
You don't? You know if you paid it?
I know I've paid some taxes. I don't know. I don't want to speculate.
Did you tell anyone at Fulton County Board of County Commissioners about your?
Hey, real thing.
Hey,
What's up?
nothing much. I know you're doing your laundry, but I was curious about this. Because I know obviously attorneys can take different paths, right? Everyone has their own journey. And if you don't mind, I wanted to hear your perspective about her talking about, I know what Ashley was getting at, but of course, Miss Willis takes the time to explain that she did not want to run for district attorney. She, at that time, was the chief judge in South Fulton. And she said they were paying her $100,000. And all she had to do was basically show up twice a week to do that job. And she had her private law firm on the side, making money from that. And she was in a good spot. She's like, why would I need to run for a district attorney? And I wanted to know from your experience and understanding of these type of things, why, I mean, I know it's just speculation. Why would she do that? That does sound, she said that was the easiest job she ever had. I think she was a municipal judge or something like that in South Fulton.
Okay. So did she say this? I remember part of this conversation from February or whatever. Did she say that while I was gone?
She did.
Okay.
Yeah, that's
Let
why
me-
I came up.
I'm sorry, folks. I'm going to have to rewind just a little bit because I
Just a little bit.
remember. Okay. So just a bit. Let me know when I get there. Let's see.
Was a fair and accurate representation
No.
where it says.
Do I have to go all the way back?
A little bit further back.
Okay. Yeah,
That's
I
all.
remember.
Maybe it played a little further than I thought.
No, that's fine. I think I was only gone for 2 minutes. I'm down to the last load. So
Okay.
I'm down to the last load. So I'm about to be done doing laundry. Okay, let's see.
I have not read this book.
Okay. Let me
Sit.
no, it's further back.
Okay.
It's before this book passage that Ashley wanted her to read.
Okay, let's do that.
Okay. I think she's explaining it now.
All right, let's hear the question and then we get into it. Shout out to Diggy. What's up, Diggy? Let's see. Oh, Diggy, I have a question because you are in Fulton County. I have a question, Diggy. Here's the question. I'm trying to gather some information about the threats that were leveraged around or against Fani when she was sworn in. Do you want to talk about that or no? Let me find. Okay, I think this is probably when the questioning begins. All right, let's go.
As well, so you can continue your answer.
So I came up with Mr. Wade as a
This is too far out. Let me know, okay?
Okay.
Is this too far out or?
Let me hear Ashley.
It's hearsay statements that he was asked about in relation to what Ms. Willis may or may not have said in relation to an author. So it's not relevant to the testimony.
You know what? Let me do it this way.
What are you
You,
gonna do?
I was gonna go and get the timestamp.
No, but
Because
we
I
can
mean,
do it here.
I didn't want you to have to keep rewinding
Real
and
thing,
fast forward.
we are chaotic over here. That's the theme. We are chaotic over here. Anybody and everybody that is a part of this core know we are chaotic, and this is just how we roll. So
Okay.
you don't have
Fast
to.
forward just a little bit because the body was not. He was not talking on that part.
I know. Is it just me or does a body kind of look different in this trial? Am I tripping? I don't know. It looks a
Well, you
little
know, he did cut his hair. You know,
different.
he
Maybe
did the
that's
buzz
it.
cut
Okay,
at the
that's
end
it.
of the YSL trial, like a
Okay,
few
so
weeks
it's the
ago.
hair. So
I
it's the
think
hair.
so. I
Okay.
think so.
Okay.
That issue.
All right. Let's see.
And
Just to be comprehensive, I don't know if it was 3 times, 2 or 3 times, I
Like,
think.
just stop me when we actually get to the spot.
you were quoted if you wanted to run for office for DA.
I think this is it.
Quoted, when they asked you,
Right.
you were quoted in the book, and I will give you a chance to say if this is a misquote. You were quoted, when they asked you about if you wanted to run for office for DA, quote,
What
3 times.
question-
and
Just to
give interviews to the
Finances, and that's that issue.
so you gave interviews to the authors of this book, correct?
once or twice.
Okay. And
Just to be comprehensive, I don't know if it was 3 times, 2 or 3 times, I think.
you were quoted in the book, and I will give you a chance to say if this is a misquote. You were quoted, when they asked you about if you wanted to run for office for DA, you were quoted, I really don't want to be financially effed up again. Do you remember saying that?
So what that refers to, so that
My question first is if you remember saying that.
I remember saying something similar to that, but I would like to be able to explain what that's
That's
in
fine.
reference to. That's not in reference to anything else. It was a huge sacrifice to be district attorney in Fulton County, huge. I was doing just fine. I had a municipal court judgeship that was paying me $100-something thousand a year, and like you got to show up twice a week. Easiest thing I've ever done in life. I also had private clients.
I cannot make sense of what Scott McAfee has going on, but I don't know. Okay.
Well, this was after she was his supervisor. You know, and honestly, well, I can see with her being a prosecutor, which looks like very hard work.
Yeah.
Very hard work
Right.
for 16 years. It may have been 17 years to then like be promoted basically, right? To the medicinal judge or however that works, and just show up twice a week.
Yeah.
I understand her saying, oh, that's the easiest thing she ever had to do, but she had earned it by that point. So
right. Yeah, so let's listen to the rest of it. I need to listen. Let me listen to the rest of this, and then we get back to your question.
Paying me to represent them. So I was able to have a law practice and that. Raising 2 daughters by myself, there were times in life.
Why did I think that Fani had a son? Was that a grandson then? I thought Fani had a young son that was about, I don't know, 6, 7, maybe.
Oh, no. Both of her daughters are grown.
Whose kid? Is it a grandkid? Well, I don't know. I saw a picture. I'm gonna go down a rabbit hole, but okay. All right. So she has grown adult children. Got it.
Where things were hard. And so I was telling people, I don't really run for DA. I don't want to run for DA. I'm in a good position right now. I got this easy job that I enjoy, being the chief judge of the city of South Fulton.
Okay.
I'm making money at the law firm, and I'm not sure that I want to make this sacrifice. And why does it always have to be me? Eventually I prayed. I think that I was the appropriate person. I think that I did that. So when you're referring to that, what I'm saying is, why should I make a sacrifice again? And what I was not talking about is being district attorney.
Does that explanation make sense to you, real thing?
Well, I am a religious person, so I
No,
understand
it's not the
prayer part. Sorry, just the
me-
prayer part.
No, let me clarify. So if I remember the quote, right, and obviously I don't have the right words because I did not know she was going to say this, but the quote was something about she did not want to be in a bind financially.
Yeah,
Uh,
she's gonna explain a little bit
okay.
more.
All right.
Mhm.
I'm impatient. Okay, let me give her a chance. All right.
Once you get elected district attorney, you're in a fine financial position. I make over $200,000 a year.
Yeah.
What I was talking about is I ran for judge. When I ran for judge, I took $50,000 of my personal money out of my retirement,
Mhm.
and that money ended up being lost. And I know when you bet on yourself, you're going to have to bet money on yourself.
Right.
And so what I was talking about was not wanting to go through the personal
Big shout out to Fani. Okay, she has many quotable moments. She has many quotable moments.
financial expense of running for office.
Okay.
By no means did I think that I was going to be financially in a bad position once I won. Let's talk about what I was up against, because it's important to understand that comment. I had a district attorney who had
Again,
been
Ashley Merchant had zero control of the witness she called. Zero control.
here for 24
Fani definitely owned her. Owned her.
years. People, no, it's very relevant as to what my mindset was about this. So I'm trying to answer your question. So what I was saying is
Taylor, still it's a finance.
right, but it is about my finances. If I didn't, nobody put me in this seat. So I had already run for office once. I had spent $50,000.
He's talking to that judge like like a little kid. Oh my goodness. This
my
is
own money
this
running.
is a
And it
mess.
was vamoose, nothing. And so when I'm talking to those offers, I'm talking about the contemplation of the sacrifice of the run, not the
Okay, so Diggy says Fani backdoored Paul Howard. You need to explain that. You need to come up here if you can, Diggy, and talk about some of this Fulton County politics. What's up, Allie? The same stuff she was accusing Paul of being corrupt, she was doing the same. Got it. Got it. Got it. Got it. Okay.
sacrifice of once you become DA. The odds were against me. I was likely going to lose the election based on who I was running against.
Okay.
So that needs to be in the appropriate context.
Isn't it true that the authors also wrote, and you can dispute this if you'd like, that you were broke after that race?
The 2018 race.
Yes.
Yeah, that was a hard race. I wasn't broke like I didn't have any. So broke is relative to depending where you are, but that hurt to lose that $50,000. So
Yeah.
I'm sure my mental mindset was like, I just gave $50,000 away.
Right. So they characterized it from their conversations with you that you were broke, you had poured your own money into the campaign, and you weren't able to pay your own bills because your clients couldn't pay their bills to you, and you had a paltry array of family and asset forfeiture cases. It says
What?
we're trying to make
Okay,
it month to month.
that's not necessary. What I wanted you to hear is sufficient at that point, because she does clear it all up that the authors misunderstood her, and I can see how that can happen because we don't understand. If you have not went to law school, have had or not had any experience, there's a lot of things that a layperson would misunderstand. When y'all are talking about certain things, it's like we might the authors were assuming one thing, but she cleared it up to me. I accept her answer on her saying she would have to. It takes money to run for an election. It takes money, and so she already did it. She put $50,000 of her own money to become a judge, and that was really her dream, was to become a judge. And she lost that money, so she didn't want to do that all over again and possibly lose. And that's really her answer about that. But back to the question, if she has this great judgeship and a law firm that's profitable, and she's like, no, I don't want to, why should she do that, make the sacrifice to run for DA, and she may lose? Why ultimately do it in the perspective of, like, would it be beneficial? Does it seem like a good move to make in a law career?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I personally, I don't know that I would ever be a prosecutor again. I don't see myself following that career path. But just in terms of finances, right? I remember I'm going back to one of the jurisdictions that I practiced in, maybe two. There were judges in there that settled for judgeship because they were not able to they did not win the election for district attorney. So, and the thing is, a district attorney really has a lot of power, okay? So if that's your type of thing, then sure, go for it. But it would also depend, what was Fani's practice area? You may,
Criminal, criminal, criminal defense.
yeah, I've always maintained a criminal defense lawyer is not going to make a lot of money. You would have to do that. You're going to have to represent, I don't know, some, you cannot represent ordinary folks as a criminal defense attorney and think you're going to make a killing. Because had she, I mean, some people are just greedy, but if she was making enough money from her practice as a criminal defense attorney, then there would not have been a need for her to seek a judgeship. So I would like to assume that her being a judge, again, as she said, it was easy money, but it also supplemented it supplemented her income from her law firm. So, but when you are DA though, uh, again, $200,000 is definitely more than $100,000, and even that, I mean, it depends. Also, Fulton County has a larger population, because I'm thinking about the folks that went on to, become judges. That's typically, I'm thinking of one person in particular. He had a criminal defense practice, and I believe he was just making, I don't know, like maybe close, a little over $100,000 or something like that. But that's in the country. So for her, it probably was the right move, because you don't have to go out and find clients. You're not really running you're not operating the day-to-day, you're not running the day-to-day operations of actually owning and running a law firm. So yeah, for $200,000, sure, everybody has a price. Like I keep saying, I'm not going back to prosecution, but everybody does have a price.
That makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, everybody for sure has a price. Diggy says she ran for judge and lost. So she ran for DA. She worked under Paul Howard for 17 years. And you know, like I don't always count people's coins, but ordinarily, because I'm going back to again one of the jurisdictions where I practiced as a public defender, and when you're not really into politics, you don't. I never followed up with who makes what and how much they make, right? And I thought I was trying to figure out why this specific judge wanted to be the district attorney as opposed to being a judge, because from even from the perspective of a layperson, when you're a judge, you're on that bench, you kind of seem to be, what is this, a primal authority. But when it comes to money, that's not how it works. Typically, a district attorney for sure usually makes more than the public defender. And I'm not talking about assistant public defenders. I'm talking about the public defender. Um, I don't know. Do the sheriff? Let me quickly look up my jurisdiction or my previous. Let me look it up. Let me see how much the sheriff made, because if I remember the conversation that I was having with one of my clients, at least not my clients, my colleagues, in that specific jurisdiction, I believe that the district attorney was the highest paid county employee at the time. So Gary Rice says PDs do not usually do a good job. It is because in part their hands are tied. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. I don't even know what you're talking about. Not no. There's no public defender slander on this channel. I'm sorry. All right. A real thing. Do you have any other questions, or would you like to move on?
I would like to move on. No other questions. It makes sense, especially when you were talking about supplementing. The judgeship was actually supplementing, which makes
Right.
sense. It's like a guaranteed continual salary in case the clients don't come through. That makes
Right,
sense.
right. And again, because I've maintained that when you do assign counsel, I'm trying to figure out the right day for us to actually tackle Angela D. Williams. Because I see that Megan interviewed her just a few days ago. Um,
Yes.
you know, Gary, I need you to come up here. I'm gonna share the link, and we can have a debate all you want. Okay, we can have a debate all you want. So
I'm
we
so happy you're gonna really do a analysis of that, because I'm telling you, when I saw that lady
yeah.
on the stand, on the witness stand, I said, oh wow, she is not playing.
Yeah, but if there's a specific video
Hmm.
that you have in mind, send it to me. We can, because I'm trying to figure out, are you working on Monday or no?
The work that I do now is I can do what I want to do. I can send you, it's really a series of videos. I know you said you wanted to create a recorded video to give the backstory, didn't you say
I mean,
that?
I mean, under these circumstances, it's probably best to just, have a live.
Okay.
Yeah, under these circumstances, I prefer to have discussions. So send me the links you have. Obviously, I've started gathering some stuff already, and
Mm-hmm.
I'll just plan it out. But we're gonna have to pick a day where we could possibly do a live for 3 or 4 hours instead of two, because usually our average is like 2.5, maybe. So
Actually, that's perfect. You know why? Because
yeah,
I feel like you were asking us about like what we want to do in the future. You know,
yeah,
how about that type of live would really encompass like the highlight moments of 2024, like for the end of the
yeah.
year.
Yeah, we can do that. I had a plan for that, but yeah, for
Yes.
sure. So I don't
Okay.
know. Do we want to do that on New Year's Eve? Do we want to do it? It's the timing that I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah, let's see what Jerome and
Okay.
Allie,
All right.
Diggy, and Jasmine wants to do.
All right. So Jasmine, Ellie, Diggy, FFS, Greg, Brooklyn's not here. Brooklyn, Old Bag and the Ironing Board, Callie, who am I missing? I know. You guys can just let me know how you want to tackle this. How do you want to spend your New Year's Eve? All right. So I want to let's switch back over to the father, because I believe he's about done. Actually, I really wanted to get back into Fani, but let's switch over to Mr. Floyd. Let's get Mr. Floyd up here and get into it.
Good morning.
Good morning, Chris. Good morning, Council.
When your daughter moved or left the house that she owned, did she say anything to you about having a large savings of cash?
Huh?
Oh, no, no. See, maybe, excuse me, and Your Honor, I'm not trying to be racist, okay? But it's a
I
black
remember
thing,
this.
okay? I was trained, and most black folks, they hide cash or they keep cash. And I trained, you always keep some cash, because I've been places, and just because of the color of my skin, for example, I took a fellowship at Harvard when my daughter was just if I might, Your Honor, when I was just, she was just, maybe 3 years old. And I remember going to a restaurant in Cambridge, Massachusetts, and I had a American Express credit card and maybe a Visa or whatever. And I had a lot of what they call traveler's checks. I don't even know if they still have
I
traveler's
don't
checks,
think
but
so.
traveler's checks. And there was a sign said, with the credit card. For whatever reasons, the man would not take my American Express credit card. So I pulled out my Visa card, and he wouldn't take my Visa card. So then I pulled out my traveler's checks. He said, we don't take checks. Now, these were traveler's checks. This was money. I had a $10 bill. I'll never forget this as long as I live. And he said, the bill for my wife at the time, Fani's mother, Fani, and myself was like $9.95, and I had a $10 bill. That was all that. I always remember that. But even before that, I've always kept cash, and I've told my daughter, you keep 6 months worth of cash always. For example, I had 3 safes in my house. I put some of my clients' stuff there too, things I didn't want other lawyers to be, because you're always in a firm.
Right.
And I knew that there were special conditions. So some of my clients' things I would bring home, put them in the safe.
I
But I've
kinda
always
think,
kept
sir.
safes. And as a matter of fact, I gave my daughter her first cash box and told her always keep some cash.
So is that a yes?
How do you feel, real thing, how do you feel about that advice?
I think it's good advice, but I
Oh, yeah?
understand it's very convenient for this situation.
Yeah. No, I mean, the very first time when I listened to this, I was like, yeah, I should probably start carrying cash. Well, it never, I'm not a cash person. I just lose money. Like, I don't know how or why I misplace money. So I'm a card person. I use a debit card everywhere I go. So yeah,
Yeah. And it has advanced. We have Apple Pay now,
right.
Samsung Pay, Google Pay.
Oh, there's
What?
Google Pay. I've never
Yeah,
heard of Google Pay.
I've,
Oh, okay.
I've used it. This
Okay.
experiences he has had is
Right.
very traumatic. I can
Right.
understand, but
Right.
the times are a little bit different.
Yeah,
We
that's
don't.
true. Yeah, that's true. But I think I still think it's sound advice. So, yeah. But I don't know. I
No,
definitely lose
I
money.
don't dispute it. I'm sure that's very convenient that he taught his daughter to
Right,
do
right,
that.
right. Yeah.
And then when it came time to pay a man, pay him back, she had the cash under her. That
She
that's
had cash.
she had
She
cash.
had bands, baby. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, Yeah, but I mean it's good advice. I just wanted to know what your thoughts were. All right.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
That's all I got, Judge.
Okay.
Mr. Durham,
No questions.
Mr. McDougall.
Let me see. I don't think that cross was as effective. So hold on.
Thank you, Mr.
Before
Rice.
before I forgot which lawyer it was, of course. You remember the lawyer he made sit down? Do you remember that?
I don't remember that. Who made sit down?
The Judge McAfee. He
Oh,
made
really? God.
yeah. I think it's about to come up. I'm not sure,
Okay.
but
All
if
right.
it
Let's
comes
see.
up, I want to know. I never understood exactly why.
All right. Let's see. Let's see if it's in here.
No questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Gillen.
It's still morning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Counsel. How are you?
Just fine. Just a few questions
He's so
following up.
likable.
When you were talking about when you learned about Mr. Wade and your daughter, correct?
Correct.
Now, did your daughter tell you in around October of 2022 that she had gone on a Caribbean cruise with Mr. Wade to the Bahamas?
The answer is I knew that my daughter had gone, but I did not know who she went with or what the circumstances were. So I knew that she had gone out of town, but I didn't know with whom.
I see. And did she tell you in November of 2022 that she had gone to Aruba and stayed at a Hyatt Regency resort there in Aruba for 3 days with Mr. Wade? Did she tell you that?
The answer was, again, I knew she went out of town. I didn't know where she went. I knew she was going out of town. She told me she was going out of town. I think she might have said she was going out of the country or something. She'd be gone. But other than that, that was all.
Okay. And did she tell you in March of 2023 that she was going to Belize for several days with Mr. Wade?
The same answer, that I knew she would tell me she was going out of town, and she may or may not have told me where she was going, but she'd be gone for a couple of days.
Okay. Now in 2023, you were in many days you would be out in California, correct?
Some days I'd be in California, correct.
Okay. Well, did she tell you in May of 2023 that she was traveling to Napa Valley with Mr. Wade, so maybe y'all could see each other when she visited California with Mr. Wade?
No.
The answer is no.
And so the first time that you ever met Mr. Wade or learned about Mr. Wade, to your recollection, was in 2023?
That's correct.
That's all I have, Your Honor. Thank you.
Okay. So that cross-examination did not, really shake things up, but that was a good cross. Not too many explanations, yes, no, and you get to move on.
Mr. Kajuroff on Zoom.
Yes, Ron, just a couple quick questions. Good morning, sir. I know I can't see you.
I can't see you either,
We
but
can take a moment.
good morning, Council.
We can take a moment. Let's just pause, see if we can change the screens to show Mr. Kucherov.
All right. How long is that going to take?
We need,
Your Honor, I'm on a phone, so it's kind of difficult.
can you turn your screen on?
This attorney is kind of aggressive. You'll
Oh,
see.
yeah. I don't quite remember, but let's get in here. Let's see. I mean, again, my stance remained the same. If you're trying to get somebody to buy into what you're selling, it is best to take a softer approach. But we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Thank you.
All right, come on, folks.
Does that work?
Just to hold one more moment. All right, there we go. You can proceed, Mr. Kucherov.
Sir, you seem to know about the issue of cash in this transaction. You said it was a black thing. How did you know that the cash was-
Wait, what?
It gets better.
Hold on, wait. I need to go back. I'm sorry. He said what? What?
Sir, you seem to know about the issue of cash in this transaction. You said it was a black thing. How did you know that the cash was going to be an issue in this testimony?
Because I was asked for it and I was prepped by the lawyers and they asked me about it. What else?
And did you speak with Mr. Wade about your testimony?
No.
Did you speak with your daughter about your testimony?
She may have been present when the lawyers were. I really don't remember.
If Mr. Wade and your daughter were dating, you wouldn't have known that unless your daughter told you.
What do you? Maybe I'm not understanding your question, counsel. So maybe you want to restate. What is it that you're asking me?
Yeah, if it wasn't clear, I can re-ask the question. I'll rephrase it.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
Mr. Wade, if Mr. Wade and your daughter were dating, you wouldn't have known that unless your daughter told you.
I did not know that they were dating.
Right.
And when were you talking about the cash? I didn't know that. I don't know what you're asking me. What I told my child from the time she was a child is always have some money. Always have some money. If you go on a date so that people don't try to stick you and you want to leave whoever, always keep some cash, okay?
Mr. Floyd, you answered the question that the attorneys prepped you for that. So that's all I wanted to know.
Anything else, Mr. Kucherov?
What do you think of
Thank you,
that?
Your Honor.
All right. Mr.
What's
Cromwell.
that?
What do you think of that cross-examination?
I mean, it's still the most important thing that came out here. Obviously, it was not a lie, or what is this? It was not he did not handle, the attorney did not handle Mr. Floyd with kid gloves or even, in a courteous manner.
Mhm.
But what was elicited was actually important. The one thing that was elicited during cross is that Fani Willis may have been present while Mr. Floyd was being prepped
Mhm.
or to testify. Okay, and it's common again. Attorneys do prep their clients. I mean, I
Yes.
had a position yesterday, and I prepped. Right, so that's not out of the. It's not really out of the ordinary. But the most important thing here is the fact that Fani was possibly or likely present while the father was being prepped. Not that again, Mr. Floyd did not testify in any manner that could possibly discredit him, but at least I like the fact that the defense attorney brought out two issues or elicited two facts that were not, covered by anybody else that cross-examined him. So that's what I liked about what he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, he was, I don't know about the whole black thing. That man said, he said, I don't know. Yeah. But other than that, the style, it's his style. but I like the fact that he was able to elicit that Fani may have been present in the room. I mean, sometimes it can show bias, but I don't see it here. I don't see it here. So let's see. Gary Rice says when a public defender is assigned to a case person, that is the limit to the lawyer team they get. Correct? I believe what you're asking or what you'd like to know is if a criminal defendant is restricted to a specific public defender. It depends on the structure of the office. Some offices follow a vertical approach or assignment of cases, others follow horizontal. So, depending on the approach, you either stay with the same public defender unless something happens to them, or, I don't know, or in depending on the jurisdiction again or the practice in the office, you may be passed on from attorney to attorney depending on where you are, from arraignment to pretrial motions to trial. So it just depends on the office.
Mr. Floyd, you answered the question that the attorneys prepped you for that, so that's all I wanted to know.
Okay.
Anything else, Mr. Sheriff?
That's it, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Cromwell.
No questions, Your Honor.
Mr. Abadi?
I'm gonna have to make a clip out of. I need that timestamp. I'm gonna have to make a clip out of, the whole cash thing being a black thing, or whatever it is he was saying. I need to make a clip out of that, shorts or something. But yeah, that was a mess.
Mr. Floyd, now it wasn't common for your daughter to confide in you about her romantic life at all.
No, and I haven't confided in her about mine before when I had one, okay?
That was my favorite answer.
Oh, yeah.
I love it.
Yeah, so they don't talk about, they don't talk about the mixing of the genitals.
He said,
So-
I didn't tell her about mine when I
Right.
had one.
Right.
And you wouldn't have known about
No,
her
I
boyfriend.
think for sure Mr. Floyd is charming. Big Willis is definitely charming.
The
He's
disc-
likable.
And you wouldn't have known about her boyfriend, the disc
Hey,
jockey.
Debs.
What?
Is that an objection?
I think that might have just been still off mute.
Okay.
Let's keep going.
Now, you wouldn't have known about her boyfriend, the disc jockey, had you not been living with her, correct?
That's correct.
I'll allow overruled.
I have nothing further.
Did he answer the question?
He said that's correct.
All right.
Okay,
Sure.
so I'd like to think that question was from the prosecutor. Is that right?
Yes, that was
From
about it.
Abate? Okay.
Yes.
So that was good redirect. That was good redirect.
Of hands, any redirect on those points only. Ms. Merchant.
I just want to know when you were prepped by the lawyers, when this.
Let's see. I'm trying to think. The reason why I'm pausing here is because I am trying to. No, it is a proper question. It's a proper question. Because one of the other defense attorneys asked the question, so Merchant can definitely follow up on this.
Prep session was.
I just got off the plane on, what was it, Tuesday night? I think I was probably drooling at the mouth. I was so tired. So it must have been, I got in Wednesday. It must have been Wednesday.
Okay. And did you talk about any of the testimony from yesterday or watch any news reports or anything like that?
Oh, absolutely. You can't cut the TV on without seeing this. The first thing, and I listen to conservative radio a lot, and, last night for 5 hours, all they talked about was this case.
So you were aware of what the testimony your daughter gave yesterday was?
Yeah, unless you don't cut the radio on, unless you don't cut the television on, unless you don't read the AJC or any other, the New York Times or whatever, which I do every day, of course.
So is it fair to say nobody instructed you that you were under the rule of sequestration?
Right, and I'm not under subpoena either.
Thank you.
So that was brilliant. That was brilliant from Mr. Floyd. I guess that's what helps to have an attorney on the stand, because considering that he was not sequestered, it means he did not have to isolate himself from the press coverage of Fani Willis, whatever this hearing is. So that was brilliant.
All right. Anything else? Seeing and hearing none. Thank you, Mr. Floyd.
Thank you very
All
much,
right, presto. That was really good.
Your Honor. It's a pleasure to appear in front of Your Honor.
Take care.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh my goodness. He is so respectful. He is so
Ms.
respectful.
Cross, let me check in. Was the state planning to call additional witnesses?
Not at this time, Your Honor. We're again trying to accommodate if there's a.
What's going on
So
here?
you are co-counsel on this.
This morning.
That's not, I'm just nosy. I'm just.
Remind me why you are here.
Did he say he wasn't under subpoena? I didn't understand that. I thought he was.
No, he said he was not under subpoena. Yeah.
So how did he know he would have to testify? He was just on the witness list?
I mean, the way that can work is I was notorious for turning people into witnesses. Okay. One thing about me as a public defender, I never wanted my clients to testify just because they could just dig themselves into holes they could never dig themselves out of. So if they were accompanied by anybody, I would turn them into witnesses. So under these circumstances, I think, and this is me speculating, I think that it was a last minute decision to get him on the stand to basically, support what Fani Willis was saying. I think it's last minute. So,
okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Let's see. Gary Rice says, my point is the DA's office have several people to investigate someone or thing. PDs don't have that power to help their client, said Justice. Florida just made me part of a $20 million payout. I would not attribute that to any and every or all public defenders' offices. It just depends on the public defender's office in your jurisdiction. I have been, again, I've worked in 3 different public defenders' offices. And again, here's the thing, Gary Rice, it depends on when you were tied up in the system, right? Because there has been a systemic shift as far as public defenders offices are concerned when it comes to funding. Back in the day, a lot of public defenders offices definitely were not funded. They were under-resourced. But as time has gone on, probably within the last 10, maybe 15 years, there has been a shift. Public defenders offices have, they want to retain talent. So a lot of the public defenders offices, the pay is on par with the district attorney's offices. And even in some public defenders offices, the attorneys are paid equal to or even far better than what folks make in private practice, excluding big law. Okay. Big law is big law. So that's a different pay scale. But over the years, there has been a shift, and a lot of offices, because I'm just trying to go through all the public defenders offices that I worked in. All the public defenders offices I worked in definitely had, they had investigators, okay? When I worked in a larger jurisdiction, they obviously had more resources. They had more they had more investigators, right? I mean, as much as there's a shift to actually funding the offices again, you have to keep in mind that public defenders offices do represent the majority of indigent folks in society. But let me see. Let me go back. Yeah, and I just know that as far as the offices that I worked in, I don't know how it works in Florida. It might be different out there. But the offices that I worked in on the East Coast in 2 different states, there are investigators. The one office even had social workers that worked with our clients. It just depends on where you are. But there's definitely a shift towards making sure that these offices are well funded, well supported. Let's see. Have you defended an A1 arrestee? I don't know what an A1 arrestee is, so that might be language that you use down in South Carolina, but you'll have to elaborate on that. And then let's go. I think we're done here, right? I think we're done here. All right, so let's move on. I just want to I want to get into Bradley. Let's see. Do you remember Bradley's last name?
Are you talking about Terrence Bradley?
Oh, is that? I think it's Terrence. Okay. So his first name is Terrence. How do you spell Terrence? I don't know. I feel there should be an A somewhere there, but how long is his testimony? Oh no, that is long.
Oh, very long.
Why did they have him on the stand for that long?
Did you watch this live? We had to wait for hours for him to come from the doctor. It was a mess. He did not want to testify.
No, I remember. I think that I watched. What is this? I think that I watched the highlights or maybe a replay. I don't recall watching it from the very beginning because this was when was this taking place?
February.
No. I was not a public defender at the time. Trying to figure out. I guess it would depend on the date. It would depend on the date because I'm trying to figure out why I did not watch this live. But yeah, that's lengthy. So we're gonna have to wait. Let's just move back to Fani. Let's move back to Fani. How do I share? Oh, stop, remove. Oh, and then not real thing. Diggy, are you still in here? Because we could have actually gone back and taken a look at, what Mr. Floyd was talking about when he came to the threats, leverage against Fani. So, real thing, if you're still in, I know real thing is in here. I mean, Diggy, if you're still in here, let me know, and then I'll bring those up. But for now, we're going back. We're going back to Fani. We are going back to Fani Willis. All right, let's go.
Is that an accurate depiction?
It was
So if
sufficient.
clients couldn't pay their bills to you, and you had a paltry array of family and asset forfeiture cases. It says you were trying to make it month to month. Is that an accurate depiction of your financial situation at that point?
I would want to read that, but I don't remember clients not being able to pay their bills or.
May I approach this?
You can't.
You may.
Page 30.
I have not read this book.
What book is that?
This is the book. I think it's called Count the Votes, something like that. Don't quote me on that. These authors wrote a book about Miss Fani and her pursuit of those who allegedly tried to steal votes in Georgia.
Oh, okay.
I
Never
think
mind. Okay.
I think it's called Count the Votes or something. Let me look that up.
Okay.
But she's gonna talk about some things. Yeah. And
All right.
clear it up.
Okay, it's not worth reading. So, okay. All right. Let me get back in here.
So like this back here, her ex-husband Fred had run into a financial.
Gary, I would need more specific information, okay? When you say First Amendment, that is kind of broad, unless you are not referring to A1. Okay, so Gary says it's been grand. Merry Christmas. I suppose is that you leaving? Is that you calling it a night or day, depending on where you are? Well, thanks for tuning in.
I have no.
Thanks for, the commentary.
Information
about that. I just asked about what they represent from their interviews with you, that you were broke and that you had clients that weren't able to pay their bills.
Can you show me where that is? Because this is where you put the tab, so that's where I read.
Broke, couldn't pay their bills.
Yeah, I'm sure I characterize myself as broke as leaving that $50,000. I don't know that I had her nascent law practice at paltry array. I didn't have.
Ms. Merchant.
I thought I had a law practice.
Merchant for sure. Cross-examination skills 0. Oh, you know what? A real thing. As far as Jackie Jackson is concerned, right? I know they had a hearing. Believe it was this week or was it last week? My days are a blur. But it is going to be interesting because who's this? Brian Steele is representing her.
Mm-hmm.
So it is going to be interesting. At least I was thinking about this today. It's going to be interesting to see if he is as impassioned as he was during the YSL trial. And the reason for that is because that approach to me doesn't work. If you're going to behave that way in front of a jury, it's going to count against you, and not just against you, but actually against your client. So yeah, I know random, but I was just randomly thinking, I'm always all over the place. But
No, thank you. We'll talk about it more when that time comes, because I definitely want to know more about it, because you're once again confirming what the jurors themselves have said about brain steal.
Right,
So
right.
that's crazy.
Yeah, so I mean, real thing. I'm not an imposter. Okay, I'm not an imposter. Trust and believe me.
I
Not an
believe it.
imposter.
You're the real thing. You should change your name.
You're so funny. Okay, let's get in here.
So this is not correct. I'm sure it's just, I didn't have any asset forfeiture cases. So I had one case where they had took one of my clients' money at the airport.
Okay.
I don't know if that's what they're carrying.
Must have been over 10 grand.
Paltry rate. I did have family law cases. I guess that's what they're talking about. And clients who couldn't pay their bills ain't clients. So.
So my question was just if this was a fair and accurate representation where it says you were trying to make it month to month at that point.
No, I don't think that is actually a fair and accurate representation, but I am certain that after the 2018 election, I'm still not really happy about having given up that $50,000.
You know when you paid your tax lien?
I don't.
You don't? You know if you paid it?
I know I've paid some taxes. I don't know. I don't want to speculate.
Did you tell anyone at Fulton County Board of County Commissioners about your relationship with Mr. Wade?
No.
Did you disclose your relationship?
I don't know. I have to think about that one. All right, folks, we have about another 15 minutes. Okay. About another 15 minutes. I'll be ready to give my laundry. And call it a night. As far as tomorrow, I'm trying to figure out the best time. I think the best time for us really evening, because evening that's, when parenting has, that's when I'm not really parenting. But I could start earlier tomorrow. If anybody, that might happen though. I might randomly come on this live in the morning. No, but I need to clean. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Maybe I can pre-record some videos. But tomorrow I'm thinking about the same time, like 9:30 p.m. Yeah, around the same time.
To anybody at Fulton County?
So I wanted to go back
about your relationship. Did you tell anyone at Fulton County Board of County Commissioners about your relationship with Mr. Wade?
No.
Did you disclose your relationship to anybody at Fulton County?
No, I don't think so.
And as the Chief Law Enforcement Officer of Fulton County, I assume that you're familiar with the county code and ordinances?
I'm saying we're not going to cover that in this hearing, Ms. Merchant.
I'm sorry, Judge?
We said we weren't going to cover the county regulations.
Okay, and I won't. Let me ask you this then. So are you aware that you're required to disclose any relationship with someone that you contract with in Fulton County?
I'm going to object to the court's prior ruling that you made this morning.
Would this be different because it's a potential for impeachment?
Yes.
What did you ask me?
Ms. Merchant, if you agree, ask the question.
Okay. Are you aware that Fulton County requires you to disclose any relationship with someone that you're doing business with?
I'm not aware, and I know often that things are confused with state constitutional officers in county, but I'm not aware.
Okay, so it's your understanding that you
And here's the thing. I don't know. Let me leave Fani alone.
don't have a duty to disclose a relationship.
She's answered that question. Let's keep going.
Yeah.
Did you keep track of this cash that you paid him at all?
What are you talking? I don't understand.
Did you keep track? Did you keep a ledger? Did you keep track of it?
So I've only given him cash, as I mentioned, 3 or 4 times. There's no ledger. This is friends handing money off to each other.
So the answer is no. You didn't keep
And I think
track.
you've already asked whether there was any written proof whatsoever, and she's
Yes.
answered that.
Okay.
So we've covered this. Let's move on.
Come on. Come on, Ashley.
Who were you referring to when you suggested that Mr. Roman's motion to disqualify was racially motivated?
We already said we're not talking about the forensic misconduct that's been alleged.
And
Dang, were you not paying attention, Ashley? Were you not focused? What's going on?
And just so the record is clear, I don't believe I said that his motion was racially motivated, so I don't want that to stay there. I've never said his motion was racially motivated, so that should not be true.
I think it would be best if we don't need to go down that road. We're going to save that for our.
You once said that you would not engage with a personal relationship with anyone that worked for Fulton County. Is that correct?
An employee?
Anyone that worked for Fulton County.
I think I said an employee.
Okay. So that's the qualification you give an employee. You would.
I think that's the statement that I made. So if you want to quote me accurately.
Oh, okay.
So is your position because Mr. Wade was not an employee, or is your position he wasn't an employee, correct?
Mr. Wade is not an employee, and he will tell you that over and over again.
All right. So basically, Fani is saying that she could have, commingled genitals with Nathan Wade because he was not employed by the county. I mean, my problem again has not been that, they were mixing reproductive parts. Okay, that has never been my problem. Again, my problem has been the fact that she hired this man as special co-counsel. She thought she could, sweep things under the rug, knowing very well, they both should have known better, knowing very well that the defense was going to eat this up.
I'm sorry, the statement, just so I make sure I accurately quote you. What you said was you won't sleep with people who work under you. Do you not consider Mr. Wade working under you?
I consider Mr. Wade to be an agent.
An agent?
Yeah.
Right.
An appointee is what I really think of him as.
Your point, whatever merit it has, Ms. Merchant, is on the record. Next question.
Move on.
All right. Do we need any moments in a minute? Mr. Sadow.
Yeah, I'm ready to go, Your Honor.
All right.
All right.
I'm going to try to ask you questions that you can actually answer without having to
Funny.
explain.
That's
Okay.
funny.
Yes, sir. My comprehension skills are pretty good, so we should do
I
all right.
remember this.
We shall soon see.
Oh my goodness. This is, man, go back. This is, what is this?
I'm going to try to ask you questions that you can actually answer
Okay.
without having to explain. Okay?
Yes, sir. My comprehension skills are pretty good, so we should do all right.
We shall soon see.
I have no idea I do have an idea what's going on, but very chaotic and I love it.
If I heard you correctly, you moved into what I will refer to as the Yurti condo in either March or April of 2021. Is that correct?
Oh, her name is Yurdi. I called her Jaeger. I believe I called her Jaeger. Robin?
Sometime between late February and April. Yes, I don't. Just so we're clear, yes. But in that time period, you're in the ballpark.
Honey,
We're in the
please.
ballpark.
And is that Yurti condo, would you say that it is in Hapeville?
It is in Hapeville, yes, sir.
And you moved in there for safety reasons?
My father, yes, I moved in there. We were concerned.
Yes,
My father
no,
was terribly
let's move
concerned
on.
about me continuing to live at the house. And so they were clear. People came to my house at 5:00 in the morning about the police brutality cases, saying I was going to have a wake-up call. There were security threats due to gang cases.
Okay.
And
That's a missing part. I wanted to know why she was being threatened. Okay, so that clears everything up.
Concerns due to.
But then again, I'm watching these things in reverse, so I'd have had these answers had actually gone in chronological order.
That was at the very beginning of this, looking into that. And so for all of those reasons and what was happening, my father wanted me out the house.
Oh, real thing. Did you watch there's another case out of Georgia. The woman that murked her husband, who was an attorney, what's her name? What's her name? What's her name? What's her name? Melody Ferris. Did you watch that trial?
I didn't. I've
Oh,
watched many
okay.
Georgia trials, but not that one.
Okay. No, the only reason I was asking is because we're talking about Mr. Floyd not having been subpoenaed and not sequestered. There was a surprise witness in that case. Her name was Martha something. I don't know, Martha Jean, Martha Beth, Martha something. And she was during the proceedings, she basically followed the trial on, was it law and crime? She followed the trial, okay? And then as she was watching the trial, she came to the realization, okay, very convenient. She came to the realization that Melody Ferris stole her firearm and possibly used that firearm to commit the crime against her husband. So in that case, she was also not sequestered. She was not subpoenaed, and she reached out to the law enforcement, if I'm not mistaken. I believe she reached out to law enforcement, telling them that she had information or evidence regarding this crime, that because they were in trial. Okay, so I was just gonna draw that parallel, but she didn't watch the trial, so yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and I know that was a real surprise witness because she was following the trial and then she got on the stand to testify and she could not be disqualified even though she was not sequestered. I mean, as long as you're not subpoenaed, let me not, generalize. But under these circumstances, for Martha, I think her name was Martha Jane or Martha Jean, one of the two.
Mm-hmm.
And that obviously applies to Fani's father as well, because uh, I don't think I don't think it was really the prosecution's intention to call him on the stand, but it appears to have been a last minute decision. So, yeah.
Wow.
Begrudgingly, I left.
Okay, so the answer to the question was yes, for safety reasons, correct?
Those were all of the things that caused the
And
safety
just answer
concerns.
the question.
I'm sorry.
I'm not questioning whether.
You know who Fani answers questions like Vivarito, or maybe Vivarito answers questions like Fani. They overcomplicate what should be very simple. Like right now, Fani is fighting about an issue that is really a non-issue. Like, we know it was for safety reasons. Say it was for safety reasons and move on.
They are not safety concerns. I just asked that you moved into this condo, the RT condo, for safety reasons, right?
Yes.
Okay. At the time that you moved into the condo, be it from February to April of 2021,
Yes.
was your father still living in your house?
Right, because my father.
That's
yes.
all I
Answer
asked.
the question.
But I get to explain the answer, sir.
I don't know if there's an explanation. If I ask you, was your father still living at your house? The answer is either he was, or he wasn't.
Yes, but you are going to get to argue at the end of this, as we both
No,
know.
Fani. Answer the question. The prosecutor's office will follow up with questions if it's necessary. Like, I don't understand the need to be this argument. I mean, part of it from a legal perspective, a procedural perspective, I do not understand why she's being this argumentative. And that was also my problem with Vivarito's testimony. They're arguing over matters that really should not be argued, because if there's a real issue, again, the prosecutor, I don't know, they might be asleep, but the prosecutor is going to redirect. But the other side to this is the nature of, Fani really did this to herself, but the nature of the proceedings. I understand her need to, want to stand up for herself, because again, I don't know, she doesn't have faith with her folks. I don't know. The whole thing is a mess, but she definitely brought this upon herself. There's no doubt in my mind about that.
Argue anything. I'm going to ask.
Explain why.
I'm going to.
So yes, because my father is an older gentleman, he was worried about COVID and he stayed.
Ms. Willis, I'm going to have to say that's the second time.
Right.
Whenever we have to put a pause, stop testifying. Okay?
Right. It's
you don't have a chance to explain yourself.
unnecessary.
The question was whether your father was not staying there at the time.
Right.
And you're clarifying that in your answer as well. You can have a brief clarification, but it shouldn't be something that reaches well beyond the question. All right, Mr. Sadar, you can re-ask the question.
I mean,
and see where it takes
I
us.
think part of the reason is also McAfee gave, and it's not just as it relates to Fani. Okay. He definitely gave Fani a lot of leeway, but he also gave the defense attorneys a lot of leeway. So from my perspective, he was not really in control of the courtroom. If anything, Fani is the one that was in charge of this courtroom, because even when Merchant questioned her, she definitely lost control of her. Had not even lost. She never had control of Fani to begin with. So I don't know. Let's.
Okay, thank you. Was your father still living in your house at the time you moved to what I would refer to as a Yurti condo?
Yes, sir, he was, due to his concerns related to COVID.
Oh my
The
goodness.
safety concern was that there was potential danger at your house. Is that correct?
Yes, my address had been exposed, so yes, there was concern.
And you see, and as far as her father's testimony, again, he was credible, right? As far as the father's testimony, that aggressive attorney, I don't remember, something that began with the letter K. That was, here's why his cross-examination was important, because it pretty much, not even that it shows that Fani was, I don't want to say that they, they were coached, because that's not the correct term. But if they can pretty much argue that if Fani and the father were, well, Fani was in the same room as his father, as he was meeting with, the district attorneys, or if you just want to call them attorneys, it kind of plays, it's significant. It is significant. It is significant as far as trying to poke holes into a funny story. But in any event, I also do not think that Judge McAfee should have allowed. So Judy says that the judge was spineless. I mean, he was just starting out, right? At the time, he was what, 35, 36. This was probably his first major case. And as the Real Thing has, reminded us of, she's reminded us of the fact that McAfee used to work under Fani Willis. So there are a lot of moving parts. There are a lot of moving parts to this whole thing. I don't know. Fulton County is something else. It's something else. But yeah, McAfee should have taken better control of this courtroom. He did not do that. So, okay, this is a good stopping point. Tomorrow, Saturday, 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I believe that's a good time. And tomorrow, we're going to take a deeper dive into Bradley. I think we're going to start with Bradley tomorrow. We never finished Nathan Wade, and I need to print out the decision and highlight the decision, because again, astigmatism, it's hard for me to read on my phone. Real Thing, any closing final remarks?
Since you're going to be highlighting the decision, please highlight the dissent again as well.
I will.
I think it's the best part. It's
Okay, I'll
perfectly
definitely.
written, and it really should be like on all the billboards
Okay.
in Georgia.
All right, I'll definitely do that. Anything else?
Shout out to the replay crew.
Big shout out to the replay crew. And then again, shout out to my co-counsel, Real Thing. Shout out, you guys came through. Ellie, Diggy, we have Gary Rice, we have Judy, Jerome. I don't know where Jerome is. Let's see. I don't know. I cannot read all this stuff. My eyes are done for the night. Okay. All right. So 9:30 p.m. Eastern time, we'll be back, and we'll have further discussion about the mixing, the co-mingling of reproductive parts. All right, and then Real Things said good night. Good night, folks. I am ending the stream.